Hey guys, welcome to this tank review of the Jagdpanzer E100, a German tier 10 tank destroyer, boasting the second biggest gun in the game, 17 cm Panzerabwehrkanone, with 299 penetration and 420 heat penetration. So this gun is just amazing. It does huge damage. It has great penetration, quite accurate as well. Um, this tank is an all-round great tank to drive. It has 2,000 hit points, actually quite decent mobility for a big, heavy tank destroyer. And looking here in Armor Inspector, we can see that from the front, this is shooting at it with the Object 140's gun, which has 264 millimeters of standard APCR penetration and 330 on its premium heat. You can see that even when it's angled, it's very strong, and you can see like angled at this roughly 30-degree angle. The only place you can get through it is at the mud flaps, but that's also a pretty much a 100% guaranteed penetrating shot. So it's a very strongly armored tank. From the front, there's also the cheeks of the turret, as you could see right in the beginning, which are 250 millimeters of pretty flat armor, and it's not angled very much, so you can get through it if you're shooting with premium ammunition directly. It's great fun to drive this tank. The whole the whole traverse is actually it's quite decent, despite it being a big heavy tank destroyer. It's 26 degrees a second, and one thing that comes at a cost with the big gun is the slow reload. It reloads at 2.36 rounds a minute, and that's not great if you wanna engage multiple targets and make sure you damage many different tanks. So looking here with the FV215B 183's gun, this is with the premium Hesh ammunition. You can see that from the side, the only place where you're reliably going to penetrate it is in the top part of the side and from the rear. Um, with its AP ammunition, the FV215B183 can get through the front lower plate and the superstructure. So let's get over to the garage and get into some gameplay. So we can see here that we're on the new canal map. A pretty cool map if you ask me. It has some nice weather effects. It has a lot of different places you can go. And I spot that one of my clanmates, he's on the opposing side, but I guess he was busy worrying about his team because he doesn't say hi back to me. So I had to send him a message afterwards and say, hey, why didn't you say hi? But no, just kidding. Even he's a great guy, great player. So he's going to be part of this the first game. And one thing I like to do on this canal map is go to this side with tank destroyers. You have a pretty decent overview, and there's some nice bushes and rocks you can use when you engage into the factory area. Also, you have the ability to spot across the map from here, so that gives you some tactical options. And you can see these small bushes here to my right that I'm looking at now. They are actually pretty good concealment for this tank. So I kind of do a douchebag thing here. The Tiger 2, he was driving in front of me, and I just wedged him a bit. So I'm trying to look for a shot here on the IS-4, and I landed. Pretty decent roll of 777, and I spot my friend Ivan across the map. He's in his E3, so I'm pretty afraid about him because he's a great player, and hoping that he's not going to be able to get some shots on me. Anyway, as you can see, I'm actually pretty decently covered here by the bush, but I take two pretty big shots now. Take one from Ivan, then the IS-4. He returns the favor that I've been giving to him, and I decide, okay, time to back up and try to get over to this rock and try to get into some cover and maybe do some peekaboom. As I mentioned in Armor Inspector, this tank has a long reload, so you need to be able to get into cover, and preferably you need to be able to keep your enemies at a distance on open maps like this. Unless you're on a map where you can really create a like a boiling point where there's only one way through, this tank, it's not great at the front line, even though it has excellent armor. So I prefer my tank destroyers on the open maps. I prefer to keep away from the action and try to take the occasional plot shots at the enemies. So I'm sitting here pretty decently. You saw me before, the pretty good accuracy that I mentioned. It failed against the Carnarvon. So we got a T-62 here. I take a shot at him, but his tracks eat it. So I don't want to be biased or anything, but man, some of these Soviet tanks, they can just eat shells with their tracks like nothing else. So he was quite fortunate there. I could potentially have taken almost half his damage off. So I'm hoping to get another shot though. I see there's a small opening there, but he doesn't go through it. So I want to help my team here, but I'm a bit worried that I'm gonna get rushed by the mediums. And I can see the 54. He's engaging one of my teammates, so I wanna take the kill shot on him. But luckily the E75 he manages to do so. As you can see, in this position you can hide behind the rock. You can get some nice shots into the enemies. So, and just like here, I finally was able to hit the 62. He was a really dangerous enemy, so I know I needed to take him out because that tank can really play games with a tank like mine. So here we have the Ivan and we have the Carnarvon making a move. See, even he's looking at me. I quickly get in. When you see me driving away, I won't just drive directly so he has a straight shot at me. I always try to angle. So you wanna keep this tank at an angle like roughly what I was just doing when I was reversing there. That gives you a decent opportunity to bounce enemy shots, especially if they are not shooting through your mud flaps. So I try to do it again here, but like I said, Ivan's a great player and he simply penetrates the side of my tank. Most likely that was with an APCR shell, um, and otherwise it would have been very hard for him to get through the armor on the side. So I see he's on very low health. Tried to load an HE shell, which is actually a very effective tactic on this tank. Loading HE shells just give you the opportunity to really make a difference. So I see the game's over. It was a pretty good game for me, but not great. So let's get stuck directly into the next game. And once again, we are on the canal map. Uh, as I mentioned in the first replay, that I like to stay on the left side of this map. Of course, depending on depending on where you spawn, maybe it's more correct to say I'd like to stay on the western side of this map. I feel that the small hills, the rocks, the bushes, you have better options to engage the enemies in the way that you want. So you really, what's very important is trying to decide where you want to fight the enemy instead of letting the enemy decide where they want to fight you. Um, of course, that's not always possible, but you should definitely aim for that in every game because it always will give you the upper hand. So a bad idea in general is going down. I can see on the minimap that I'm a bit worried that my team is just going to rush down into the city, and with the tanks that they have, with the two Pattons who have excellent gun depression, I'm very worried that my team's just simply going to get destroyed if they go down. But like in the first replay, I decided to get over here. The IS-4 passes, but I don't take the shot because it's not a good shot, and I can see multiple enemies, amongst others the IS-7 who I put a nice shell into. He is not gonna have the best game. I don't think he actually does any damage, but I'm not sure. See the E100 over there? Kind of looking around like he doesn't know what's going on. And you can see, because I immediately after shooting angled my tank at roughly 30 degrees while trying to get back behind the rock, it made the E100 made the E100 bounce. He is using the stock cannon, so that's not going to make it easy for him. But still, it was a nice and important bounce. It's actually going very well on this side of the map. The other side, not so much. My team is under quite a lot of pressure, so I decide, okay, I need to get into the game. Need to get closer. The T-54, he just simply lets me take a big shot on him, and he almost dies from the shell that I give him, and I think it was the Jagdtiger that was shooting him at the same time as me. So he got set on fire, and that's always really nice because it lets you soak up a lot of damage and gives you some nice experience. So I'm a bit worried that there are more tanks to my left. Try to look around to see if I can see some trees falling or maybe some fences being broken. That's always a really nice thing to do. Looking around, look at the environment. Are trees falling? Are fences falling? That just gives you the knowledge that you that you uh, that you need when you're deciding where you want to engage the enemy. So I tried to take a shot at the 48, but not a very successful attempt. He's in a pretty strong position because he has a pretty good turret. He can uh, he can most likely just peekaboo me. But I decide, okay, enough, time to take him out. I decide not to repair my ammo rack immediately because I don't know what's gonna happen. He could land a tracking shot on me. Having to wait 30 seconds before I have a viable option of repairing is not a great idea. So I know he's gonna go down again. So I simply pre-aim, he drives past, and I slam a big shell into his turret. I load an HE here because I know if I have to, it doesn't matter where I hit his tank, he's gonna die. So I'm a bit worried that he's gonna track the Jagdtiger when he comes around, but the Jagdtiger does a good job and finishes him off quickly. So quickly switch back to AP. I know there's still a pattern on full health somewhere. There's the IS-4 and there's the Jagdpanzer E100. My team over there is under a lot of pressure. I tell them don't die, which is always easier said than done. Uh, but I was really hoping that the E100 could maybe get into a side scraping position and bounce some shots. So the full health pattern is not full health anymore. I shave off more than half of his hit points. He looks like he has no idea what he's doing. So that's gonna make it easy for me. So I load an HE shell, which is a bit of a risk here because he still has a lot of hit points, but it works out. I take the shot and make sure he's dead. Meanwhile, our tier 10 comrade he is doomed. So I'm hoping that the IS-7 isn't gonna side scrape me right now, but he's not. Looking for the E100. I load an HE because I know I only have to touch him with my HE and he will die. So that worked out very well. Using HE on low hit point targets is always a good idea. It does take a bit of getting used to because you need to know like approximately the ranges of damage your tank can do and whether or not you should try with an AP shell or you should try with with an HE shell. So the IS-4 he's dead, and that was it. Good game. And this was actually I think it was an ace badge with almost 6,000 damage. That's a pretty nice game for me. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this replay. Have fun, guys.